In this lesson, I will show you how to install the Arduino IDE on the Raspberry Pi so you can program your Arduino directly from there. And let's first understand very quickly why this can save you a lot of time. So if you already have the Arduino IDE on your computer, what you can do is to write some program for your Arduino. Let's say you are on Windows, Mac or Linux, it doesn't really matter. And then you upload the program to the Arduino. Then, when we will make the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino communicate between each other, you will need to unplug the Arduino from your computer, plug it to your Raspberry Pi, and then run a Python program to communicate on the Raspberry Pi. And every time you need to modify something in the Arduino code, you will need to do this process again, which is basically to unplug from the Pi, plug to the computer, upload, unplug, and plug to the Raspberry Pi again. Now what you can do is directly install the Arduino IDE on the Raspberry Pi OS. By doing that, you can keep the Arduino board plugged to your Raspberry Pi board. Anytime you need to modify the Arduino program, you simply need to stop any current program running on the Raspberry Pi, which is communicating with the Arduino, and then you just upload the code and run the program again. That's it. Alright, now let's go to the Raspberry Pi OS desktop and install the Arduino IDE. So Raspberry Pi desktop is actually Linux, so we are going to do the Linux installation. And if you open a terminal, well, you could install Arduino IDE directly with apt, but don't do that, okay? So you could do sudo apt install Arduino. You may see that in some tutorials, but don't do that because this version is actually old and not updated. So you're not gonna have the new features and maybe that's not gonna work. So instead, we are going to open a web browser here on the Raspberry Pi and just type Arduino IDE. So just search on DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever search engine you want. Let's go to the Arduino website. And here we are not on the right page, so let's go to software. So you click on software and you have downloads, okay, Arduino IDE. So just download the latest Arduino IDE version, okay, it doesn't really matter which version you have for now. So on the right, you can see the download options. Okay, so if you were to use Windows or Mac OS instead of the Raspberry Pi to actually program your Arduino, then download one of those. But here we are on Linux. Okay, we are on Raspberry Pi, so we are on Linux. So we're going to download one of those here of Linux. And to know if you have 32 or 64 bits, well, it's simple. Just open a terminal again and do uname space -m. This is going to show you that, and if you see ARMv7L, it means you have a 32-bit. If you have something like x8664, you have 64-bit. So we know we have 32-bit here, and we are going to use the ARM32. So you download that one. Okay, you can just click on just download. And you can see it's going to download it here. So you just wait until it has been downloaded. All right, we now have the Arduino IDE downloaded. So I'm going to close this web browser and let's open the terminal again. All right, and as a reminder here, you have to have some basics on Raspberry Pi, including the terminal. So I'm going to show you exactly what commands I use, but I'm not going to explain everything 100% from scratch. So we are in the home directory. I'm going to go to the downloads folder. Okay, in the downloads folder, we have this. So that's the archive we have downloaded from the Arduino website. This is a tar. Okay, so we are going to do tar space -xf with the name of the archive. So you can just use the auto completion with tab if you want to go faster. You press enter, you wait a few seconds, maybe even a few minutes. All right, and when the command returns ls, you see we have a new folder which contains the Arduino IDE. Now what you're gonna do is to move this inside the /opt folder of your Raspberry Pi. So you're gonna do sudo because we are going to put that somewhere else than in your home directory. So sudo mv to move. You just use the auto completion to select the folder, and then you do /opt with auto completion also. You press enter. All right, now the folder is gone. You go to cd, so cd/opt ls. We have other stuff here as well, and we have the Arduino IDE. So we are going to go inside this Arduino folder, and now you can see we have this. So we have a few scripts here and some folders, but basically what we're gonna do is to run this install.sh. So sudo /install.sh, and you wait a few seconds. Okay, and when you see done, well, Arduino IDE is successfully installed. Just one more thing is, if you want to uninstall it, you just go back to this folder here and you just run the uninstall script, and then you can also remove that folder if you want to. All right, but let's keep Arduino IDE installed. I'm going to close the terminal now, and you can see here we should have on the menu programming, and we have a new Arduino IDE icon here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, and Arduino IDE is now open, and you see you have a new program here. And now just one or two things about configuration, okay, so that you can have a better looking IDE and that the code can be more readable. You're gonna go in File, Preferences, and you can edit here different things. For example, editor font size. I'm going to put 14 here. I'm going also to use display line numbers. Okay, so I'm going to change those two options here. Let's click on OK, and you can see it's already better. I'm going to go back to Preferences, and where you already have another information here is where your sketchbook is. So sketchbook is basically where your Arduino programs are going to be saved. So you have a new Arduino folder here on your home directory. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. More preferences can be edited directly in the file here. So I'm going to click on that. This is going to open a new file manager, and I'm going to close. That's very important. You're going to close the Arduino IDE. Okay, we are going to modify preferences.txt here. And before you open that file, you close the Arduino IDE. Very important. So you double click. It's gonna open the file, and this is because we're gonna find this line, okay, editor.font, okay. So you can just scroll and find this line, editor.font. You see we have monospaced by default, and this may actually not be the most readable font for Arduino. So what you can do if you want is to change to consolas here, like this. You write like this, consolas, and then you have plain, so don't touch anything here. Anyway, that setting doesn't work. And then you see you also have the font size that we have just set before. But for the font, basically there is no way to change it on the Arduino settings, so we have to open this preferences.txt file. So I'm gonna save with Ctrl S, and now I quit the file, I quit that, and let's go back to Arduino IDE. All right, now we have a new font size and a new font, and we have the line numbers. So everything is good for the course. Now if you plug your Arduino to your Raspberry Pi with the USB cable, then you go on Tools, you select Board Arduino Uno. So if you have an Arduino Uno, of course, if you have something different like a Nano or Mega, you choose the correct board. And then on port, you're gonna choose the Arduino Uno port. So usually that's gonna be something like TTY ACM 0 or TTY USB 0 or with 1 or something like that, okay? So you select this, and then let's just upload an empty program to see if it works. So compiling, uploading, down, uploading, great. Everything is correctly working. All right, so now we have all the tools we need. Let's jump straight into the serial communication so we can make the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino boards talk to each other.